In the beginning, when my parents saw the property for the first time, it was a mess. It had been logged and there was a lot of slash and it was in deplorable shape. But there was a stream running close by through the property. There was a Forest Service road that gave us access. The water rights are secure and it's in the center of a national forest. So on all four sides, half mile by half mile by half mile by half mile, it's bordered by a national forest. So there's no risk of commercial development encroaching. And the other thing that makes it unique is with the stream, the diversity of the trees we find on the property, and the natural habitat of a natural meadow that's an open parkland meadow. You get a diversity of forest, stream, riparian habitat, and open, lush meadow. After the 1910 fire that eradicated the entire forest, not only on our property, but throughout the Northwest United States, it burned over 3 million acres, including all of this property. So no living tree is older than about 110, 14 years old and came in after the 1910 fire. And as a result, the timber and forest has grown up like weeds in a garden, just very thick and dense. It's almost, in some parts of the forest, impossible for a person to walk through, much less wildlife to walk through. And it is a competition between trees for moisture and sunlight and nutrients, and as a result, all of that dense forest becomes stunted, unhealthy, and becomes susceptible to disease. NRCS has given the family an opportunity through grant programs, the ability and funding to hire contractors, as well as working ourselves to improve the forest. And it's a wonderful relationship we've developed. And it's always been about the land, and they are very supportive of helping us improve the land.
The Packer Creek tip came about through some initial landowner discussions that we had with folks up here during the fall of 2020. And that dovetails nicely with the Cruzan Mountain Project, which is a Forest Service-driven series of timber management projects along Forest Service property lines throughout this entire area. Packer Creek tip aligns directly with that in that we are conducting pre-commercial thinning, noxious weed treatments, as well as fuel break thinnings around cabin sites and structures within the private lands that are located within that focus area. And we began planning for broad-scoped forest management plan that would address overstocking, weed management, and wildfire fuels reduction.
We are attempting to bring the forest back to its natural state through the work through the agency. And over time, we as humans have had a hands-off approach for many, many years, and it's caused our forests to be very, very overstocked, and that is fire pressure, that is insect and disease, all of those things will come in. So the tools that have been given to me through the agency, through forestry and pile and burning and weed management, have opened these forests up to their natural state of where they should be, and that allows sunlight, it allows moisture to come in. We are on top of the insect and disease issues here as well, and it further sustains the forest. We have probably over 10 to 11 different species, and with those species comes different challenges of insect and disease. We have our white pine here, which comes with blister rust. We've got lodgepole and other pines that can come with western gall rust, and then Douglas fir can be all over the place with different issues. So it's very susceptible to different problems. So one of the challenges has truly been to try and monitor each stand as we go along. We want to double check our work as soon as our contractor comes through. We want to double check and make sure that trees are not damaged and that any insect and disease issues have been solved.
The Western White Pine Challenge is a challenge I recently became educated towards through the NRCS that said that there's ways to prevent the spread of the blister rust in white pine. NRCS recommended that just for that species in particular, if you were to prune all the branches off up to a point where there's healthy branches, that those would prohibit the transfer of the disease from the wet soil and spring runoff and snow melt from going up to the tree and transmitting the western white pine blister rust.
The past few years we've seen a really positive response from the native understory. These plant communities that are here on site have benefited not only from the thinning work that's been completed out here, which helped reduce the stocking densities of the timber on site to an appropriate level, which has not only helped them, but it has in turn provided a real positive response to the native understory vegetation. That's yielded collateral benefits to the local wildlife species, including native pollinators. If you walk around on the site behind me, you'll see a number of wildflower species in bloom right now, and a whole host of native pollinators are utilizing those species. It's really a positive and profound impact on this particular property.
This is a forester's dream. To have diversity on a place like this is unheard of. And when we take a forest like this and we give it a proper amount of species and age class, we have understory, mid-story, and then we have an overstory. And a good mix of all that with species that are meant to be here keeps your insects and disease at bay.
Intuitively, I think it'll be an improvement for wildlife, although the forest here has only been thinned 2-3 years. Time will tell, and what it does is open the forest canopy to allow more sunlight in, more understory to develop. Most species of wildlife don't eat trees, but if they're deer or elk or what have you, they do like to browse, and the browse is usually grasses and sedges, and this certainly will promote that. So I would suspect you'll see more and more benefit to wildlife as the years go by.
What excited me most when I initially visited this property was just the knowledge, the overall knowledge that the landowner possesses. And having a landowner who leans forward into his work, it makes for a really well-flowing, easy to manage project. The other thing that really excited me about coming out here was the fact that this is such a diverse property. It's a beautiful property. When you walk out here, it's aesthetically pleasing, and it's just real easy on the eyes and makes it something that I enjoy coming back to as often as I possibly can.
Every day I'm in the forest, you have different experiences. Every year, every experience is unique. So it's that uniqueness that's my favorite. I can't specifically say there is one thing. Just simple things like sitting on this rock and waiting for the wind to come up in the afternoon and hear the wind through the boughs of the western larch. That is, the trees sing to you.